Take 100. This is actually like take 12 of trying to shoot this same video. All right, what's up, beautiful people? It's Coach Christian. We just got back from Patriot Games, and I do want to go over some of the stuff that is in my kit. And part of the reason for that is after posting some photos, I did get some questions about how to get into the sport, how expensive it is, the barrier of entry to get into the sport, and I think all those are important things to address, specifically coming from me because I don't really rock a bunch of fancy stuff, right? So I don't have like a $6,000 rifle. I don't use a staccato for my pistol, other than like my glasses being fancy. I think the rest of the stuff is pretty much normal stuff, and let's go through it right now. We'll start with a pistol because the pistol is the thing I needed to work on most after the last competition. This is my second shooting competition. I did the Tactical Games in the fall, the team event with my teammate Angelo. That was absolutely awesome, and I did learn a lot of things that I needed to work on. The main thing I had to work on was the pistol shooting, so I did spend as much time as I could on that leading into the Patriot Games. This is what I carry every day. It's a Glock 19 Gen 5 MOS. The only things I've changed on it are the suppressor height sights. These are by a company called J8. It has a CHPWS plate holding on a Trijicon RMR. That RMR is a 1 MOA. Some people have told me that is the worst idea. I think it's awesome, and I do think that the MOA of your optic really is something that you have to decide. It's a preference for you. It's not about what other people think. Why do I carry such a basic, why do I compete with such a basic pistol? Because it's what I carry every day. And so this is what I train with, and I'm competing to expose things I need to work on. So that's what I want to compete with. I'm not there to try to win anything. I'm there specifically to identify things that I need to work on so I can be a better defender, so I can be a better protector, right? So this is my everyday carry, super basic, Glock, Gen 5, no trigger work, no anything done, just the optic. The reason for the optic for me is, identifying that red dot is way faster for me than putting my eyes on the iron sights. Like you do have to start working with an optic and understanding how it works, because some people in the beginning are like all over the place trying to figure out where that dot is. Do some dry fire drills at home, you know what I mean? Safely, no ammo near the gun. I do have ammo on this table, but there's no magazines anywhere on here, so we could load this. Run that dry fire stuff. That's stuff you can do every day at home, and that stuff really translates to shooting well in competition, which if the time comes, hopefully it never does, but if the time comes, you can be able to shoot well when the time comes, right? Those are things that are important. The ammo I'm shooting is this Federal Syntech 147 grain. It shoots awesome. Again, this is something that some people don't like. I think it's great. So this is my pistol setup right here. Boom. That's how I went down. Now, let's get into the rifle, because there's a lot more components to the rifle and than there are to the pistol, right? Now, again, the rifle also is like pretty basic. It's not anything fancy or expensive. This is an Armalite Multi M15. When, a lot of people think AR stands for assault rifle, it actually stands for Armalite. That's the company who makes this rifle. This rifle is like $700. It's not expensive. It's not like a multi-$1,000 rifle. And let's start from the top down, and let's get into like what's going on here. So I run a Trijicon Credo. It's a 1x6, and the last two competitions at the Tactical Games, the farthest we shot was maybe 200 meters. Right now at Patriot Games, the long rifle shots were like 300 meters. I train at Homestead Training Center, where the Romeo range is 500 meters. And with this 1x6, I'm hitting at that 500 meter mark all day long, right? So you don't need like a super powerful optic. but you do need an optic that has good glass, and I think the glass on this thing is phenomenal. Also, it's an LPVO. It's got this nice, easy way to go from 1 power to 6 power. And if I'm shooting anything like within, if I'm trying to move quick or shooting within that 50 meters mark, I just set this thing to 1 magnification. I turn on the light on the inside, and I'm kind of running it like I would run a red dot. And I think it's kind of the best of both worlds. You know, have I thought about mounting like an actual optic, like another RMR or something on top of here or on the side? Not really. And I like the way that this setup runs right now as far as optics. Very possibly I'm just not good enough to know the difference. You know what I mean? I'm not moving fast enough to make those John Wick moves where I'm like tilting the gun sideways and trying to look through the other reticle. But this setup I love. It's got a Bobro Engineering single lever mount. That's what's holding this optic on. I love that. It's very stable. Like since mounting the optic the first time, it's never like come off zero. So I love that. Moving down, because of where I mount the optic, because of where my face sits, my cheek weld is on this on the buttstock, I got a Break Arms charging handle. It's a little bit wider, and I think that is helpful to get my hands around based on where the optic is. That being said, when the rifle is slung, sometimes this hits my plate carrier and opens up. So, I guess nothing's perfect, but it doesn't really cause me a ton of grief. The buttstock on this gun is not stock. This is something I had on another AR-15. The buttstock that comes on this gun doesn't have the pad, and I didn't super love that. And it doesn't have the QD mounts. It has like the little loop at the bottom. So I hijacked this from another rifle I had in the safe, and it's lived on here ever since. I'm running like a Magpul 2-point sling, Magpul QD mounts. I also have like this Magpul, bolt drop thing over here. To be honest, I don't ever really use that thing. Is it necessary? Probably not. And it's probably something that could cause you a headache if it bumps into something and goes out of whack while you're in the middle of competing. So would I get that again? I don't know, maybe not. Here's what I would get, and this is my favorite part of this rifle. This is another one of the upgrades I made to this rifle. I'm rocking a Geisley trigger. It's the SSP trigger. That's a single stage precision trigger is what that stands for. The trigger on this gun is my favorite thing about this gun. And the reason I say that is because you don't have to have like a $6,000 rifle. Like this rifle is like $700. The charging handle was like $40. The trigger is admittedly not cheap, but it's where you should be spending your money. The way it breaks, the way it resets, I absolutely love the trigger. It also has a flat face, and for me specifically, I love how that works. So this little rifle setup is, for me, it's perfect. You know what I mean? I'm sure, having like some crazy slick custom AR is awesome, and those things might last longer, they might shoot flatter. I don't know, because this is what I have and this is what I use. But if your excuse to not getting into these competitions is the barrier of entry, there's not a bunch of money tied into this weapon. Other things I have going on, I wrap the top of this thing in goon tape so that when I'm leaning on barricades or leaning on rocks, I'm not getting the metal all chewed up. Mind you, it's not like, it's not a Daniel Defense. It's not like some super expensive thing, but it is something that works well for me. So I want to take care of it. And this is just one way that I can take extra care of it and keep it looking good, which is important, It looks good, means it feels good. So that's what's up. This is my rifle, and admittedly, I absolutely love it. It's fantastic. This cheap little thing gets the job done every time, and I'm excited to get the job done again at whatever next competition is coming up. What I'm shooting out of here, which also makes people, decide I don't know what I'm doing, is just this Winchester white box 5.56 training ammo. So no match grade ammo, no match grade barrel, like there's nothing fancy going on in this setup. This is like the cheapest 5.56 I could find. I buy all my ammo at Borelli, and Mr. After sort of fire alarm, and he's like, I'm out of here, guys. I'm out of here. And that's the ammo they had. I do spend a lot of time training, and I do go through a lot of ammo. So the money that I didn't spend on having very slick guns, I do spend on range time, and I do spend on ammunition, and I do spend on taking classes to be a better shooter. I'd rather invest the money in that than invest the money in having like a super killer setup with like a staccato and some crazy custom AR-15 and not be accurate on target, you know? So those are things that are important to me. Now, moving on from there, let me see if I've hit all the things that I was thinking I needed to talk about. Yeah, basically. Moving on from there, the hearing protection, I don't like wearing like over the ear muffs, even though they provide great hearing protection. I feel like they end up like moving around when I'm trying to get into like different positions with my rifle. So I do like these Axial. These are the GS Extremes. These guys always have sales, which is awesome if you need to buy a pair. And I did do one little bit of modification on these. Axial on their website sells these foam little earplug things. I like these better than the silicone ones that it comes with. It's cheap. I think these things are maybe $9 or $7 or something, but they work great, and these things are a lifesaver. I don't like the thing hanging off the back of my neck when I'm competing. So because I'm usually wearing a hat, or even when I'm training, because I'm usually wearing a hat, I will take the hat off. I will put this thing like through the snapback part, and then it's out of the way, and it's not getting hung up on the sling or on the plate carrier. So that's how I rock that. All these things that I'm using or that I'm mentioning, I want to bring up in this video because they're all things that I would probably repurchase exactly like I'm describing them, except for like that bolt drop from Magpul. I don't think that's necessary, but I have it and it's on there. But everything else I would not change. I would repurchase if I had the opportunity. If I needed to do it again, I would do all those things exactly the same. The eye protection, I love these. These are the Gators Blast Shield. You can change the different lenses on them, and they just come out like that. It's super slick and kind of insane how they make that work. The frames are super lightweight. I have a bunch of different lenses for these. I have 2 different lenses for these. This is what I ended up using during the weekend because it was kind of nice and bright all weekend, except for the last stage. But by the last stage, I was tired, and I was not willing to walk back to my car to grab a lighter lens. So that at a certain point, even I get lazy. That's my admission to that. But I do love these. I think these are the coolest shooting glasses ever made. I don't have like a discount code or anything like that of my own, but my boy Perry does. And if you hit Perry 15 at checkout, you get 15% off. I don't know if it helps Perry in any way, but he's a cool dude. So if it does help him, let's do that. And yeah, Blast Shield by Gators. I would rebuy these for sure 1,000,000 times. I would never even think about it. Next, before we get into the plate carrier, shoes are probably like a super overlooked thing in shooting because they're attached to your feet and they have nothing to do with a gun. However, shoes are so important. I'm a run coach, and I put on workshops for Spartan Race. I'm an obstacle course racing coach. These shoes have fantastic grip. The Vibram sole on here is absolutely uneffable with, so that we don't have to bleep anything out. It's fantastic. The reason I like Topos, they have a huge open toe box, so my foot displays out completely naturally. This is important when you're on your feet for 12 hours during a competition, or maybe like Tactical Games is 2 days and maybe you're on your feet for multiple days. You're running through mud, you're running up and down the range, you might be pulling a sled, pushing a sled, whatever it is. That grip is important, and how comfortable your foot is in the shoe, how natural your foot splays out in the shoe is super, super important. I also like that they have like the heel cup keeps my foot in there very well. I don't know the best way to word that, but other than fantastic, they're fantastic. We'll make that simple. This shoe is a 0 drop, right? So from the toe to the heel, there's no drop. Even though this looks thicker, your foot is actually sitting in that bed a little bit. And if you're gonna buy a competition shooting shoe, I don't know if there is such a thing, but if there was, for me, this is the competition shooting shoe. If you're doing like a Spartan Race, a Tough Mudder, any type of, obstacle course race, this is the greatest shoe ever made. This is the Run Venture. This is one of their more minimal shoes. And I think that's very important because the same way that I like the feedback I get from the trigger on the rifle, the feedback you get from your feet is absolutely important. And it's something that people try to mute all the time, right? People try to get shoes that are thicker so that they have more comfort. The fact is they're just trying to make up for their feet being weak. We need our feet to be strong. That comfort should come from within, and we should be able to feel everything that's on the ground, so we're getting feedback from what we're stepping on, right? That's super important. Little tirade on shoes that are probably not necessary for people who are thinking about guns right now. The plate carrier I carry, or I rock, is this 511 plate carrier. I've had this thing for a very long time. I've made different videos with this thing on YouTube, and one of the things that I had come up in a video is somebody was like, you better hope you have a lot of those because the Velcro is gonna wear out. Well, I do have multiple of these, but this specific green one is the one I use every day. It smells like I've been using it every day for like the last, 4 years or so. It's held up great. It holds up great. The plates in it, you guys will think this is fun, maybe, or you'll think I'm an idiot. For tactical, the plates I use in here generally are ballistic plates, because when I'm training, everything should have two purposes. So the ballistic plates that are in here, they're heavy, so they make for good training. And if I was in a firefight while training, then I'm slightly bit safer, right? So that's awesome. But it makes the vest weigh 24 pounds. So obviously that's not super awesome. And also, guys, if you don't know what it feels like to move and groove with 24 extra pounds on you, don't get some heavy set of plates and then you're getting shot at because you can't get away from your problems, right? Like, it's important to be able to move and groove with whatever you're wearing. But for Tactical Games and for the Patriot Games, the plate carrier has to weigh 15 pounds. So what I did in here is I took some 5-pound gym plates, like the change plates, and I made like a cardboard cutout, cut the weight out, placed the weight in there, I wrapped it in some yoga mats, and I wrapped it in duct tape to try to make this 15 pounds, including the plates. I was not super accurate. It came out to 18 pounds. There's no way I'm redoing it because it was so much duct tape, but it's way lighter than 24 pounds. So 18 pounds is what it is. When you go to weigh in, when you're weighing in your vest, you cannot have any magazines or anything in the pockets. But if this is like an attachment, like the magazine holder, you do get to use this during the weigh-in because that is what it's going to weigh all weekend, right? Unless at some point you're trying to gain an advantage by taking off something made of cloth, which I think does not make any sense whatsoever. You know, what I like about the play carriers is decorating them, because I'm silly like that. And we'll start at the back. We got some Tactical Games patches, 75 hard, Homestead Training Center, Florida, because that's how we roll. 4x4x48. When I was a gym owner, every year we would do the 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. That was very special. My homie Megan made that for us one year. And then my Spartan side of things, better than before. If you've done a Hurricane Heat and you know Andy Hardy, that's what this is about. So shout out to Andy. Hurricane Heat 4 hours, Hurricane Heat 12 hours, and then moving around to the front, a different old school Homestead Training Center patch. First form, that's how we roll. My nameplate, C. Bizzato, do not pet, because I might bite. A negative, no penicillin. Things that are important for people to know, just in case you're at the range and things go sideways and you need blood. People should know your blood type. It's probably a good idea to have that on you somewhere. Mine's on my play carrier. Over here we got a little bit of my faith going on. We have the Tactical Games third place patch for finishing third place at the Tactical Games. Super stoked on that. And most important for me is my Luke 15-32. That prodigal son thing is something that resonates really hard in my life. I spent a lot of my life distancing myself as much as I could from Christ, and man, and I'm back, and I'm grateful, and this one piece of the Bible really resonates with me. So, not to go on a crazy tirade about biblical stuff, but find your purpose. I found mine, and I'm grateful for it, and I'm grateful to be back in the arms of Jesus. Where I had anxiety, I now have faith. You know, like, that goes a long way. But this is my whole setup. This is what it's about. I love the shooting sport community. I love the obstacle course racing community, and this is just like another aspect of making that better. You know, this is another way. The reason that I'm into Spartan races and the reason I train for those things is just to be a better defender, to be a better human, to be able to move and groove and climb things, get over things in case of a disaster, man-made or natural. And this is just another progression of that. I hope this has been helpful. You know, like, I hope to meet you guys out at some of these events. I have had, I don't know if I've had a little bit of luck, but the last two events have worked out for me. I came in third place at the Tactical Games. Got my little Tactical Games plaque right here. I absolutely love it. It was, I competed in the teams division with my teammate Angelo, and we had an absolute fantastic time. I do think the team events are more fun than the solo events. And then at the Patriot Games, I was able to pull off the win in the Masters, 40-49, and I was able to also take the first place overall at the Patriot Games. So I'm super grateful for that. That being said, I'm not one of those John Wick looking guys that can like run and gun as fast as possible. I think a lot of those results really came from, you know, trying to be as athletic as possible in the movements, in the burpees or tossing sandbags or whatever it was, the farmer's carries, and then really taking my time to breathe in the shots. You know, it's, I see a lot of people when I'm, you know, because I'm a coach, like I look for patterns in how people move and how people do things all the time. And one of the things that I see all the time is people will come off of like the fitness aspect of the stage and get to the firing line, and they're in such a hurry to draw and to fire, and they're not actually taking the time to find their target and then find their sight or their red dot, and to have like that really positive trigger pull. So, you know, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. That I think goes a long way to the success I've had. I don't want to call it success because it's not like I've done 100 of these, but I also don't want it to just come off as luck. You know, like it's there is something to the practice that you put in, and I'm grateful for the practice that I've put in, and I'm also grateful for all the people along the way that I've had the opportunity to train with that have been like super instrumental in helping me with this. Whether it's like inherent threat resolutions, like I've taken a bunch of Jason's classes, or like Ernesto Diaz at Homestead Training Center. You know, I'm dialed on the rifle because of Ernesto. And a lot of times it's the things that you don't want to do, and it's the things that make you feel real humbled, that those are really the things that you need to work on. And I'm grateful that I have the people around me that will subject me to that and force me into those uncomfortable situations so that I can have good results when the time comes. And that's it, man. Like if you guys are thinking about getting into this, you know, this sums up the entire investment I have into the sport. It's not a lot. And the people I met, I have made friends at every single one of these competitions. And they're not just people I see, like they become friends. The community is absolutely awesome. So I'm grateful for the dudes at Tactical Games for putting on their event. I'm grateful to all the people who sponsor those events so we could have these sports. And I'm grateful for the guys from Patriot Games for putting on that event. It was super fun. I love, you know, the Tactical Games we did was at Arena in Blackley is in Georgia. The place is called Arena. It's completely insane. And then Patriot Games was here in Miami at my home turf, Homestead Training Center, which is where I train every week. I love everybody at Homestead Training Center, and I'm super grateful for the event that was put on and for everybody I met. So I hope this helps you out. I hope this answers some of you guys' questions, or I hope that this brings up more questions that you can bring up so that I can help answer those questions for you that I have not thought of. Guys, thank you. Coach Christian signing off.